Chapter 831, I'll forgive the two of you. He was going to give her a helping hand. So the next day, news of Quan Zai secretly meeting with a singing competition contestant was revealed. Xinglan wasn't famous, but Quan Zai was. As a result, this one small move from Quan Zai completely ruined Tang Ning and Lin Qian's plan. Quan Zai was known for having an evil charm, but he barely got involved in scandals. So, even if he didn't show up because they were lovers, they still had an unexplainable relationship. Since it wasn't easy for the media to get a lead, they naturally latched onto Xinglan and began digging into her past. Perhaps even her ancestors couldn't escape being investigated. As a result, Xinglan's exposure shot up in an instant. Although the media didn't identify her immediately, they knew that she was competing in the Journey singing competition. As soon as Lin Qian saw the articles, she immediately comforted Xinglan and gave Tang Ning a phone call. Sorry Ningji, Quan Zai was looking for me. I already assumed that. Now that the news has been blown out of proportion, a lot of things are going to be beyond our control, Tang Ning explained. I'm sure you know that getting exposure too early is a bad thing for Xinglan. Not only will her sister discover her, the previous stealing incident is going to resurface. What should we do now, Ningji? Lin Qian was a little stressed because she felt that she was the cause. I have an idea, but I'm afraid you will disagree, Tang Ning suddenly said after a moment of silence. Quick, tell me, Ningji. Explain your relationship with Quan Zai to the public. That's the only way to protect Xinglan, but it may be difficult on you. After hearing Tang Ning's suggestion, Lin Qian fell silent for a short moment before she replied, Ningji, I agree to doing this. But, can you let me decide how to do it? This is your own private matter, so of course you can. But you need to be quick before the public tears Xinglan apart. Understood. I will start preparing immediately. After speaking, Lin Qian hung up the phone. Tang Ning looked at her phone and took a deep breath. She then glanced down at the child crawling beside her feet and picked him up in her arms. Silly little brat. Is Dad back? Mo Ting entered the living room and took Zixi from Tang Ning's hands. I saw the news. This was Quan Zai's doing. As long as the matter between him and Lin Qian doesn't get resolved, there will always be a risk factor. I know. That's why I suggested a solution for Lin Qian, so she can finally make a choice between the Quan family and her career, Tang Ning replied. Quan Zai cares about Lin Qian, but Lin Qian is extremely stubborn, so I think they still have a long way to go. Pa. While the couple were talking business, they didn't expect words like this to come from Zixi's mouth. He called his father. The first word he learned was Papa. Tang Ning couldn't help but feel a little jealous. Why? Zaikan will definitely call Mama first, Mo Ting comforted as he carried Zixi in one arm. There's nothing to be jealous of. I'll forgive the two of you because I love you. Due to the distraction from her child, Tang Ning wasn't as anxious as Lin Qian. Of course, since they placed all their bets on Xinglan, if anything happened to her, superstar media would face the risk of being closed down. So, after dinner, Tang Ning coaxed her two kids to sleep while Mo Ting snuck over to the study room to give Lu Che a phone call, give the media a call and try to prevent the matter from escalating. Lu Che was smart, so he immediately understood what Mo Ting meant. Don't worry, President. Meanwhile, Lin Qian was struggling with her thoughts. If Quan Zai hadn't caused this drama, she would have avoided getting involved with the Quan family. She could already imagine the disgust on Mother Quan's face if she was to reveal that she was the second miss of the Quan family. But, for the sake of Xinglan, she felt it was only right for her to make some kind of sacrifice. So, while she had the chance, she was going to take the opportunity to tell Quan Zai not to waste his time on her anymore. Lin Qian, will I be discovered by my sister soon? Xinglan asked. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. You don't need to be worried, Lin Qian accompanied by Xinglan's side. Trust me, after tonight, everything will return to how they used to be. Xinglan nodded her head and patted Lin Qian on the shoulder. Sleep early. Lin Qian responded with a smile before she grabbed the family photo and went to contact the media. You guys should stop fussing over Xinglan's identity. Quan Zai appeared at her place because he was looking for me. The reporter on the other end held onto his phone and laughed at Lin Qian's explanation. You're just a manager. Why would Quan Zai come looking for you? You don't even know how to tell a lie. It's because I'm his sister, Lin Keon said before she sent the reporter her family photo. I am an adopted daughter of the Kwon families. In other words, I am Kwon Zai's younger sister. Do you believe me now? The reporter looked at the photo and nodded. I see. It seems you want to clarify this matter. I'll reveal it to the public tomorrow. I guess I can consider it as first-hand information. Thank you, Reporter Kim. After contacting the media, Lin Keon grabbed her keys and drove over to Kwon Zai's apartment. As soon as the housekeeper saw her, he was quite surprised. Second miss, it's none of your business. Lin Keon walked right past the housekeeper and found Kwon Zai reading a script in his room. I've just revealed our relationship to the media. Now that I've revealed my identity to everyone, are you happy? Kwon Zai furrowed his brows, unsure while Lin Keon suddenly acted so recklessly. Why did you do that? You should ask yourself. Why do you make things seem so ambiguous between you and Xinglan? She doesn't need exposure. So you left me with no choice but to sacrifice myself for her sake. Lin Keon explained coldly. She's a pitiful person that had her crown stolen from her. Can you not hurt her for the sake of your own happiness? And can you not hurt me? Lin Keon, didn't you want to know what happened between your mother and I? You should stop trying so hard to find out. I'll just reveal it to you. It's because your mother almost sold me for her own benefit. She said that I was just an adopted daughter that had been feeding off the Kwon family for many years and that it was time for me to make a contribution. She tied me up and delivered me straight to a man's bed. If the man wasn't an understanding person, I would have already had a few kids. Of course, it would have been against my will. Kwon Zai, I hate your mother, so I can't help hating you as well. Please stop clinging to me, I find you extremely annoying. Chapter 832, Threatening Xinglan to withdraw from the competition. Second miss. The housekeeper followed behind Lin Keon and heard her ruthless words. As she looked at Kwon Zai's shocked and hurt gaze, Lin Keon's heart also hurt. After all, ever since she was small, she had always depended on her older brother. However, the things that Mother Kwon did in the past had already broken her heart. Housekeeper, take good care of him, Lin Keon said before she turned and left. Kwon Zai watched her leave without even looking back and almost let out a laugh. Look at how heartless she can be. Young master, if what the second miss said is true, what are you going to do? The housekeeper asked helplessly. If the madam really did what she said, then, this sounds like something she would do. Kwon Zai threw his arms back. Although he looked indifferent, deep down he actually couldn't accept that his relationship with Lin Keon had drifted further and further apart. But, what else can I do? If Lin Keon refuses to marry me, then I guess I'll remain single for the rest of my life. That won't do. Kwon Zai laughed and did not say another word. There were some things that were better left unknown. If he had known how much it would hurt him earlier, he would not have pressured Lin Keon so much. The next day, due to Lin Keon's revelation, the media's attention was diverted towards her, hence ceasing the focus on Xinglan. Lin Keon was Kwon Zai's sister and an adopted daughter of the Kwon family. She even had a photo as proof. So Lin Keon's identity was without a doubt true. However, after returning home, Lin Keon lay in bed and cried all night. Because, when other people were around, she never revealed the weak side of herself. With the addition of Hairu's control, the matter did not reach the point of no return. Unfortunately, Li Kin had already discovered that the so-called Xinglan in the news was actually her sister. They were twins. So, even though Xinglan changed her appearance and outsiders didn't notice a thing, she was still Li Kin's sister. Even if it was just a small glimpse, Li Kin could still identify that it was her sister. Actually, even if she was burned down to ash, she would still be able to recognize her. But, she did not say anything at first. Instead, she personally paid the music school a visit. My dear sister, you don't know how to give up, do you? Li Kin, what should we do now? Her manager asked. What else can we do? Of course we need to teach her a lesson so she won't overestimate herself again. After speaking, Li Kin put on her sunglasses and gestured for the driver to hurry and start the car. Xinglan's apartment appeared on the news. Although the media didn't take much notice of it, it made it extremely easy for Li Kin to find her. Li Kin's manager bribed the building's security guard and discovered Xinglan's apartment number. So, the two women rushed into the lift, and within a few moments, They were ringing on Shenglan's doorbell. Shenglan thought it was Lin Qian, but, when she opened her door and saw Li Kan, she froze. "What is it, sis?" "From the looks of it, I'm not very welcome here." Li Kan pushed Shenglan aside and entered the apartment. "Look at you. You're about to debut, yet you haven't got yourself a big house to live in. By the way, Mom and Dad have given me money to buy a villa, but they have no plans for you. If there's something you want to say, then say it. If not, then leave." Shenglan turned around and tried her best to control her emotions. "My dear sister, did you really think that you could win this competition?" Li Kan walked over to Shenglan and rubbed her hand against her cheek. Her nails dug deep into Shenglan's skin, almost leaving a cut on her face. "Who gave you the confidence to do this?" "If this is all you've come here to say, then go home," Shenglan ordered. Li Kan turned around and looked at her manager as she lifted her chin suggestively. The manager understood what was happening. So, she immediately grabbed Shenglan by the hair and slammed her against the wall. She was a black belt in Taekwondo. How could Shenglan ever fight back? "You must have forgotten that you are still viewed as a thief. How dare you sign up for a competition behind my back?" "Li Zhen, have you forgotten that I could reveal the truth to the media?" Shenglan's real name was Li Zhen. Tang Ning wanted to make things comfortable for her, but she ended up being discovered by the media. "It's amazing that you have made it into the top 300. But, let me tell you, if you don't announce your withdrawal from the competition before the next round, I will reveal your secret to the public. Remember that you only have a few days to think it over." After speaking, Li Kan left with her manager. At this time, Lin Qian noticed the two women walking out of Shenglan's apartment. At first, she did not notice who it was, but, as soon as she noticed blood on Shenglan's head, she immediately ran over and stopped Li Kan outside the building. "Wait a minute. How dare you stand in my way?" Li Kan growled. "Do you know who I am?" "Li Kan, this is your sister's manager," Li Kan's manager reminded. "That's her?" Li Kan scanned Lin Qian from head to toe. "I would suggest that you don't waste your time on that beach because she is about to withdraw from the competition." "Who hit Shenglan earlier?" Lin Qian was focused on this incident as her eyes gave a sharp twinkle. "Didn't she accidentally run into something herself?" Li Kan laughed. "That's enough. Stop putting on an act around me. Even if you're Quan Zai's sister, I don't think your relationship is very good. Plus, I have no reason to be afraid of Quan Zai." Lin Qian wanted to control herself, but her heart was telling her to tear this woman apart or she'd regret it in the future. "Do you want to hit me?" "Let me remind you that the person behind me has a black belt in Taekwondo." Lin Qian wanted to be straightforward with the two women, but Shenglan suddenly ran out with her injuries. "Lin Qian, let them go." However, Lin Qian refused to let them go as she closed the front door and blocked it with her body. She then gave Long Ji a phone call. "Long Ji, I have a problem that I can't seem to resolve, so I need your help." "Oh, you're calling for help? Fine, I'll wait." Li Kan refused to believe that Lin Qian could recruit any help. "You're not looking for your brother's help, are you?" "He has never acknowledged you though." Lin Qian was a hot-tempered person. This was something that she never denied. She had always felt that there were some cases of vengeance that needed to be resolved on the spot. Regardless of the means, as long as it made her satisfied and the people she cared about satisfied, then life was worth living. Meanwhile, Li Kan wasn't afraid at all as she waited for Lin Qian to call for help. Initially, she thought Lin Qian would call Quan Zai or some people that could fight. But, just one woman arrived. This person was Tang Ning's one-time manager, Long Ji, the woman whose husband held an important role in Hyrule. "What's wrong?" Long Ji asked Lin Qian as she entered the apartment. "Shenglan's sister hit her and threatened her to withdraw from the competition," Lin Qian summarized. Chapter 833, The Incomparable Superstar Media. After hearing what had happened, Long Ji walked past the two women and glanced at Shenglan, who was leaning against the wall. Apart from noticing that her face was pale, there were also drips of blood on her body. "Go check on Shenglan's injuries," Long Ji immediately said to Lin Qian. Lin Qian nodded before she moved away from the doorway and stormed past the two arrogant women towards Shenglan's side. "Long Ji, right? Nice to meet." Before Li Kan even finished talking, Long Ji walked over and slapped her in the face. Lee Kan's manager immediately stepped forward to protect her, but Long Ji pointed at the woman and warned, "If you dare touch me, I'll make you immediately disappear from the entertainment industry." Words like this were originally quite ridiculous, but when it came from Long Ji, they suddenly sounded so intimidating. Since her eyes were wide and her gaze was sharp, the other party suddenly lost all their confidence and forgot to make a move. Lee Kan's face was hit, so she wanted to retaliate. But, her hand was quickly blocked by Long Ji. "You dirty thief. If you have the ability, you should go ahead and reveal what happened 3 years ago. I'm waiting to see a good show." "Let me warn you now, Lee Kan. Today will be the last time. If you dare to come looking for trouble again, I'm going to reveal that the so-called Queen of Ballads went to Thailand and participated in black magic." "You?" Lee Kan's face immediately turned red. "Do you want to give it a try?" Lee Kan's manager wanted to stick up for Lee Kan, but she was quickly stopped by her. "Don't bring trouble upon yourself. I'll just leave." She is someone that has worked under Tangning in the past, so her methods against people are very different. "This is just the tip of the iceberg. I know much more than you think I do," Long Ji revealed coldly. "Let's go." Lee Kan couldn't accept defeat, but Long Ji was holding on to her secret and she had no choice but to surrender. But, would Long Ji actually let her go so easily? "You're leaving just like this? What about an apology and medical compensation? Plus, don't forget you stole the title of Queen of Ballads from your sister. From now on, please don't forget that you are also a thief and stop being a hypocrite. Stop thinking that it's right for you to steal from others." Long Ji's words were harsh, not showing the slightest bit of mercy. She hated people like Lee Kan who stole from others, yet had the audacity to taunt them. Meanwhile, from the day that Lee Kan won first place, no one had spoken to her in this way. Long Ji was definitely the first. So, she glared at Long Ji with her bloodshot eyes. To be exact, her eyes turned red in anger. But, who did she think Long Ji was? Was Long Ji someone that would be afraid? Lee Kan was just a simple singer. To be brutally honest, even talking to her was already degrading for Long Ji. Did Lee Kan really think that she held an important spot in the entertainment industry? For Superstar Media and for Hyrule, dealing with her was like squishing an ant. In the end, Lee Kan gave up and said to her manager, "Apologize." Although the manager was displeased with this decision, she had no choice but to obey. At the same time, Lee Kan also gave an insincere apology with her back turned to Xinglan. Afterwards, she left with her manager. Rubbish. Long Ji watched the two women leave before she said to Lin Qian, "Go contact the security and deal with any security footage. Don't let the BTCH benefit in any way." "Okay, I'll leave Xinglan with you then." After speaking, Lin Qian left Xinglan with Long Ji and rushed to wipe the security footage before the two women got to it. Long Ji returned to the apartment with Xinglan and immediately checked her injuries after they entered the living room. "You're lucky. It looks bad, but you simply lost a bit of skin." Xinglan was shocked speechless by Long Ji's fierce battling power. It was the first time that she saw Lee Kan being taught a tough lesson by someone. "You're amazing. I'm nothing." Long Ji laughed as she helped Xinglan with her wound. "You will see much more of this in the future." "I don't think I'll ever get to your level." Xinglan gave a bitter smile. "You don't need to be afraid of that beach. You need to remember that, as long as you're innocent, we will have the ability to help you get back what belongs to you. You don't need to look down on yourself or be afraid." Superstar Media may not be good at other things, but when it comes to giving face slaps, we are incomparable. Long Ji comforted. "Are you the person that's been providing guidance during my competition?" Long Ji shook her head. "Of course not. There's an even more impressive person." Xinglan was shocked. Long Ji was already amazing. How could there be someone even more impressive? "Just focus on your competition. Superstar Media will handle everything else." Long Ji patted Xinglan on the shoulder as reassurance. "If you come across someone like Lee Kan again, directly give me a phone call." "I don't think she'll be brave enough to return." "In that case, can I work with you?" Xinglan felt that Long Ji was more capable at protecting her. "Does Lin Qian not treat you well?" Long Ji asked with a smile. "You either work with Lin Qian, or you don't work with anyone." Superstar Media doesn't have bad artists, nor do we have bad managers. After hearing this, Xinglan nodded her head. I will compete well. Get some rest. I still have things to do, so I'll leave first. After Long Ji was done talking, she picked up her bag and stood up. She was a straightforward and honest person. This had never changed. Before getting married, she was positive and carefree. And after getting married, she matured and became more like a big sister, making people feel that she was experienced and worthy of trust. Soon, Lin Qian returned to the apartment. As soon as she saw that Xinglan's wounds had been wrapped up, she immediately rushed over to apologize. I didn't protect you well today. No, it's my fault for not contacting you earlier. If you hadn't happened upon it, Li Qin may have gotten away with it. I know that you must think I'm not as good as Long Ji, but I will do all I can to help you win this competition. I hope you won't be disappointed by me. It was actually normal for Xinglan to think that Long Ji was better than Lin Qian, but, after a few moments of silence, Xinglan replied, I trust you. On the way home, Long Ji reported the entire incident to Tang Ning over the phone. Now that Li Qin knows of Xinglan's involvement in the competition, there is bound to be more trouble on its way. This is going to be hard to prevent. What should we do? Who said that trouble is a bad thing? Tang Ning asked. Her every move is for the purpose of ruining her sister. All we have to do is jot down all she's done and get her to pay back for each incident, one at a time. Understood. However, you may need to comfort Lin Qian a little. After all, she hasn't been in the industry for long and there are a lot of things that she doesn't know how to respond to. Okay. You can get back to your own work, Tang Ning replied. Tang Ning simply hoped that Xinglan would toughen up. They had all gotten to where they were by persisting through trading from others. So, she hoped to eventually see Xinglan slap everyone in the face. Chapter 834, President Mo's Jealousy. After putting down her phone, Tang Ning returned to selecting clothes for her two babies. However, not long after, she received a phone call from Lu Qi. Madam, Quan Zai wants to meet with you. Him? I don't have anything to do with him. He wants to talk about Lin Qian, Lu Qi explained. The president said that he's here to ask for help. If you don't want to see him, you don't have to. Tang Ning could sense the jealousy in Mo Ting's words, so she smiled. I'll head over to the office right now. Although she didn't care about anything to do with Quan Zai, this matter also involved Lin Qian, so, she was going to listen to what Quan Zai had to say. After all, she was currently in a partnership with Lin Qian, but, after the short time they had spent together, she was already aware of Lin Qian's temper and knew that she wasn't the type to yield to anyone. She was extremely stubborn. So, it didn't seem possible for Quan Zai to break through the wall that she had put up. Soon, Tang Ning asked the two mothers over to watch her kids and drove over to Hyrule. After the incident with Zhu Zhen, she had retreated from being in the public eye to behind the scenes. So, people in the industry began to take less notice of her. As a result, when she left the house, there was practically no obstruction. Soon, Tang Ning entered Hyrule through Mo Ting's personal elevator. As soon as she stepped into the office, she saw the two men sitting inside awkwardly. Tang Ning let out a gentle laugh and comforted Mo Ting. Afterwards, she sat down on the sofa opposite Quan Zai. Just this once, Mo Ting warned coldly beside Quan Zai's ear. Speak. What did you want to talk to me about? Tang Ning asked calmly as she scanned her eyes across the man. Quan Zai appeared to be of mixed blood. His facial features were well defined with a slightly exotic appearance. But, most notably, he had an evil charm that could be sensed from his casual gaze. A man like this was admired by so many women, yet he insisted on chasing Lin Qian all around the world. Let's keep it simple. My mother hurt Lin Qian in the past. What can I do to win back her heart? Why are you asking me? Compared to the question he asked, Tang Ning was more curious about what he thought. How did you know that I'd have a solution? Because you can see through to a person's heart, Quan Zai said as he looked directly at Tang Ning. This isn't something that everyone can do. So, I came looking for you because I have no other choice but to look for you. You should know that I'm not a nice person. I need to make an exchange. Tang Ning expressed her standpoint. To put it simply, why should I help you? Especially since you caused me a lot of trouble and almost ruined my plan. It wasn't ruined in the end, right? Quan Zai smirked. You're bound to find a use for me in the future. For example, I could protect Lin Qian. Tang Ning laughed and shook her head. Everything that Lin Keon has been doing is so that she can prove to the Kwon family that she's not useless. As for your assumption that she's been hiding from you because your mother hurt her, I personally feel that it's because you haven't truly shown her how you feel. Otherwise, she would sacrifice anything to be with you. Lin Keon's not the type of person that's afraid of obstacles. What should I do? Then, there's no point forcing her or forcing yourself. Why don't you make yourself useful for her instead? As for how, I'm sure you know better than I do, what she needs the most. After these words of advice, Tang Ning was done talking. If she kept going, she may have well changed careers into a matchmaker. Kwon Zai did not say anything else as he nodded his head. He seemed to have understood. Afterwards, he left Mo Ting's office without even bidding farewell. Mo Ting sneered. As a result, Tang Ning giggled. Nothing beats saving a life. You shouldn't be angry. He doesn't look like his life is in danger. His heart is almost dead. Tang Ning brushed her hand across Mo Ting's chest. From now on, every lesson we teach will cost $1 million. Yes, we should start charging. In fact, the money we earn should go towards buying a present for my husband. Tang Ning wrapped her arms around Mo Ting's shoulders. Ting, you don't know how fortunate I feel that we don't hurt each other and misunderstand each other. I'm also fortunate that you will always be on my side. Mo Ting acted like he was still angry as he continued to let Tang Ning hug him. But, while she didn't see, his lips slowly curved upwards. After Lee Kan returned home, she locked herself in her room and remained angry for quite some time. This was because Long Ji continuously stabbed her where it hurt. Long Ji claimed that Lee Kan was the real thief and that she stole Shang Lan's crown. Lee Kan's biggest fear was for people to discover this fact. She hated it the most. Lee Kan, come out and eat some food, her manager cried from outside her room. A moment later, Lee Kan opened the door and looked at her manager. She then said, go contact the judges and see if you can do any PR on them. See if there is a way of directly getting rid of the beach. After hearing this, her manager fell quiet for quite some time. Finally, she lifted her head and replied, don't act recklessly. Hairu is watching over this competition. In that case, prevent the BTCH from competing in the competition. Lee Kan instructed coldly. I can't let her make a comeback. Otherwise, our lives won't be very good. The top 300 elimination round is about to start. Be prepared to prevent Lee Zin from competing. Actually, this was no difficult matter. After all, when Shang Lan was a teacher, she had developed deep relationships with the students at music school. If they played a few simple tricks and made use of the students, distracting Shang Lan didn't seem like a difficult task to achieve. Don't worry. Leave this matter with me. Dress yourself up nicely. Don't get discovered. Her manager agreed and gestured for her to hurry and eat. If your plan doesn't work, I will need to get help from my parents. I refuse to believe that this speech can call for help every single time. From the looks of it, there were bound to be difficulties no matter where Shang Lan turned. Especially as the competition got nearer, Shang Lan's performance began to reveal her panic. She was sure that Lee Kan hadn't given up so easily. Luckily, she knew how to ask for help. So, she spoke to Lin Keon. I'm worried that Lee Kan will do all she can to prevent me from competing in this competition. She may even bribe the judges to not let me through to the next round. She has the ability to do that, doesn't she? Lin Keon understood Shang Lan's worries. She had also made a lot of hypotheticals and assumptions. However, a matter like this was hard to prepare for. Out of helplessness, Lin Keon ended up calling Tang Ning. Ningji, did you want to ask me how you can guarantee Shang Lan gets entered in the competition? Tang Ning seemed well aware of everything. Shang Lan's not in the right mindset. Give Shang Lan your phone, Tang Ning instructed. Lin Keon was surprised, but did as she was told. Shang Lan was curious, especially since she had no idea who was on the other side. However, Tang Ning simply said a few sentences and Shang Lan's fears were immediately subdued. Lee Kan contacted your students and asked them to cling on to you. When the time comes, pretend that you are in a rush to return to music school. Halfway there, someone will cover for you and help you return to the competition. Tang Ning's people were trailing Lee Kan's manager. So how could she not know about this small matter? Understood. But, who are you? Chapter 835, The only person to directly advance. After you enter the top 100, you will be able to see me. A smile hung to the corner of Tang Ning's lips. She didn't speak too fast nor too slow, so her voice was very soothing. This was how Shanglan calmed down, even though the person backing her felt just as dangerous as Li Kan. Seeing that Shanglan was now relaxed, Lin Qian leaned in and smiled. Feeling better now? I'm curious why you selected me. Shanglan tilted her head curiously at Lin Qian. People like me have no background and attract trouble. Why would you pick me? Superstar Media's biggest aim is to find artists like yourself who are talented but have not progressed in their career. Lin Qian winked. So, expect to see more people joining us in the future. After hearing Lin Qian's response, Shanglan was quite surprised. She couldn't believe that an agency like this existed in the entertainment industry and that she was lucky enough to come across them. Stop thinking too much. Relax and focus on your competition. Shanglan nodded as her curiosity grew towards the person scheming behind the scenes. But, there was no need to be impatient. She was going to meet her very soon. The Journey singing competition was actually very popular in Beijing. After all, it only happened once every few years. On the streets, on the television and all over the internet, there were updates about the competition wherever one went. However, Tang Ning had asked Shanglan to maintain a low profile, so, she did not feel like she was truly in the competition yet. As usual, Lin Qian accompanied Shanglan to the top 300 elimination round. But, before the competition started, Shanglan spotted the beautiful woman from last time. Nana, look, didn't you bet that she would be eliminated? She has indeed been eliminated. You mustn't have watched the replay of the show, Lin Qian said as she raised her eyebrows. In fact, the judges gave her a pretty bad scolding during the competition. Really? Shanglan once again looked at the young woman in surprise. Didn't good looks work? The round is about to start. Shanglan held onto her phone, as nervous as ever. She knew that Li Kan had planted a trap for her to fall into. Lin Qian noticed her nervousness and quickly comforted. It's fine. As expected, Shanglan's phone began to ring a few minutes later. She took a glance at the caller ID and said to Lin Qian, I'm going to pop out and take this call. Don't take too long. Shanglan nodded before she stepped out into the corridors to pick up her call. After listening to the call, she blitzed out of the building's glass doors without mentioning a word to Lin Qian. Meanwhile, not too far away, Li Kan watched the entire scene with her own eyes. My dear sister, you sure are naive. Li Kan smirked coldly before she put on her sunglasses and left. Shanglan waved down a random taxi and hopped inside. However, before the taxi got very far, it ended up colliding with another car. The two drivers stopped to the side of the road and began to negotiate, but no one knew what happened afterwards. Meanwhile, Lin Qian was aware of what Shanglan was doing, but the competition was about to start. There were only a few minutes left. If she didn't return in time, the producers would simply disqualify her. Fortunately, Shanglan rushed back into the hall a little while later from the back door and sat down beside Lin Qian. Lin Qian turned her head and leaned against Shanglan's shoulder as she whispered, Li Kan was outside just a moment ago. Shanglan was wearing a new set of clothes, which meant someone else had gone to greet Li Kan's manager on her behalf. I know, Shanglan replied. I'm going to let Li Kan know that her singing is rubbish. Time to go on stage. All the best. This time, Tang Ning did not give any instructions. She wanted Shanglan to make her own judgment on how to get the best result. To go from 300 to 100, the contestants were split into groups of 3. Out of the 3, only one would advance and the other 2 would be eliminated. Compared to the previous rounds, those that were in the top 300 were not only skilled, but they definitely had a solid foundation. So, the tactics used earlier were no longer effective. But, she had no options this time because the judges selected the songs. So, everyone that went on stage was extremely nervous. Soon, it was Shanglan's turn to go on stage. As the stage lit up and the atmosphere became more and more intense, Shanglan could tell that the judges' expectations had become more serious. Number 115, before you start, can you tell us why you entered this competition? The 4 judges looked extremely strict and did not look like they enjoyed flattery. Shanglan bowed at the 4 judges and picked up the microphone. Because my dream was stolen from me and my life was taken from me. I am here to take back what belongs to me. I thought you were going to say that you had won many awards in the past, or something along those lines. The judges were quite interested by Shanglan's unexpected answer. You sound like a person with a story. You can start your performance when you're ready. I'm sure you will tell us more about your past as the competition progresses. Shanglan gave another bow. Soon, the stage turned dark and a single spotlight focused on her. Shanglan listened intently to the prelude of the song and slowly a smile appeared on her face. Did you guys hear? Originally, the list for Top 100 was to be released in 3 days, but one of the contestants improvised and rearranged her song, pleasing the judges so much that they immediately let her advance to the next round. Is that allowed? I thought they had to compare our performances to the original singer's version. Who do you think you are? How many people could possibly perform better than the original singer? Two contestants discussed after the competition ended. As they watched a countrified girl step out of the bathroom, they ignored her and continued talking. Hey, do you think that girl is also here for the competition? She looks so lame, yet she's trying to act feminine. Ha ha ha. She got so far even though she's so ugly. She must be playing some tricks behind the scenes. While the two women were laughing, Lin Keon suddenly approached from behind them and stood in the doorway. The person you are laughing at is also the only person to directly advance to the next round. I've been following behind you for quite some time, you two gossiping beaches. The two women were obviously shocked as their faces turned red. Lin Keon sneered and left with her arms crossed. Lin Keon was surprised by Shanglan's high-profile method of advancing to the top 100. But, when she thought about it now, why did it matter? The time was right. After all, news about Shanglan was about to spread throughout the nation and superstar media was about to be discovered. So, it was the perfect time to reveal themselves, whether it was Shanglan or superstar media. Meanwhile, after Li Ken returned home, she had already popped open a bottle of champagne to celebrate. Unfortunately, the news she ended up receiving was of Shanglan directly advancing to the top 100. That beach. How's this possible? Li Ken was in disbelief as she quickly jumped online. But, to her surprise, the entire internet was already talking about Shanglan.
Hit the like, thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening.